for women, one thing that's really important is not limiting yourself for 1, 2, 3 people. What's really important is dating as many people in your early 20s as possible, because then you're going to figure out what you like, what you don't like, and then it's going to make it easier to figure out who is an ideal partner. And so I really believe that volume over quality is a lot more important in your early 20s. By the time you're in your late 20s, it's less important because you've likely already done that. But in your early 20s, make sure you're dating as much as possible. So that's my advice.
Personal advice for women, dating advice.
My personal advice for women is don't be afraid to make the first move. And if you do, I guarantee your dating life will turn out better.
Do men appreciate women to make the first move?
Yeah, I think so. I think if girls make the first move, then there's less gray area, better communication, and you just end up enjoying each other's company better because everything's on the table as opposed to playing games and running around. And yeah, that's how I feel about it.
All right, so not just communication, but honest communication.
Yes.
One second.
Right.
Let's check out.
Coming to you from Band-Aid.
Yeah.
So what's your personal dating advice?
I would think that my personal advice to anybody in a relationship, not just a man or a woman, is to be honest with each other. Because if you're not honest, that's where problems happen. And a lot of people are very insecure with themselves and they're not secure with their actual emotions. But if you enter a relationship with somebody, then you need to be really honest in expressing how you truly feel. If not, it could cause a lot of problems, and I know that it might be uncomfortable initially, but at the end of the day, it'll save you a lot of stress, a lot of time, and a lot of hurt feelings.
You find the person that you work best with when you are content with being alone. So find a way to be happy with yourself being single, and you'll be all the better to find the perfect person for you if you're confident in who you are first before you look for someone else.
Just be yourself. Us guys, we're just pretty outgoing as well. We tend to bring out ourselves to the people that we're vulnerable with. So yeah, the best way would to be like on a date. Just be yourself, get comfortable with each other, and see how it goes. Yeah.
Well, I have advice for dating in general. I'd say if you really just understand that people are all unique, and that applies for communication too. Sorry, what was your name?
My name is Yuriku.
Like Yuriku said, communication, there's a lot of different styles. So as long as you understand that and are aware of it, it allows you to be open to just pretty much getting to know somebody. If it's a genuine connection, then it should follow through, naturally. If it's not, then you just got to be ready to accept that and just move forward. And you'll have a lot more interactions through your life, and if you just stay positive and healing yourself, then it just comes naturally. You don't even have to seek it, you don't have to seek a person, they just come. That's my advice.
Advice, relationship advice.
I think being just respectful and honest is important. Yeah.
To take care of your own side of the street before you try to take care of the other person.
So, personal advice for dating.
Well, I've been in a relationship for a long time, and I think the key is that I didn't look for someone who was exactly like me. I looked for someone who complimented me, I guess, like somebody that I knew I could be with, someone I didn't want to change, but I wasn't looking to date myself. I was looking for someone different, someone to contrast me, So I think that really is an awesome thing to look for. And to talk to people. Like anytime you're interested, you're better off just talking and being rejected every time than not talking. Every time you should go up. Not every time, but most of the time, actually.
Because you say usually when you're interested in someone, sometimes they are interesting. You say that?
Yeah. So sometimes, and I've learned this, in the past where, before I was in a long relationship, you'll realize oh wow, that person actually did like me too. And it's very easy to think that it's just you that feels that way, but it's important to explore and find a good way to find out. You don't have to put them on the spot, and maybe they don't, but it's better to just ask. And yeah, I hope that makes sense.
I think advices would be to connect more. I think we are too isolated. I mean, I know that pandemic like only gets worse, but before the pandemic, we were already a little bit isolated from each other. You know, losing the concept of connection, the concept of community. That more than anything helps people to not helping them in connecting, but like to know how to connect, to know how to talk. We don't talk much more, you know, like we used to do before. I don't know, before capitalism became so intense, we became more individualistic, and then we don't connect as much. So I think that's my advice is connect. You know, go whatever reason you may find to go to talk to people and create like a very active social life. Yeah, I think that knowing how to navigate well those things it will help most people. I think. To know how to connect better, to know how to tolerate in a relationship better. You know, like social media have, like dating apps, for example, have gotten people too selective in their standards and things like that. Because, I mean, it creates the impression and the illusion that I have a whole menu of people in there. Things are not like that, you know.
It's
So
not the real relationship.
Yeah,
like
it's
the word doesn't work.
Yeah, it's an elusive impression that these apps give us, you know. And then what happens is that we create unrealistic expectation, and then people just keep going back in there because they get frustrated when they realize that nobody's gonna, not nobody, but like again and again they fail to meet those expectations that are wrong because of this false impression. So they get increasingly frustrated, but they get just coming back to the app. And they don't realize it's because of that, because the app gives this false impression that keeps them there. Yeah, I know it is difficult to do that otherwise, you know, to do, like in a pandemic, how you're gonna connect, how you're gonna get close to people, it's hard.
Do you talk to anybody?
Yeah, but I also talk to a lot of people online, because that's the best way to do it now. So most of my time is online, which is weird and it tires a lot, because when you're there talking to people a lot, it is, I mean, if you're around a lot of people in presence, it's already kind of exhausting after a while, because, you know, social energy and stuff. Online, you have to do even more of an effort, so it tires more. So sometimes I come like to places like this to get a little bit of air.